By 1990, let's be honest, Buick had kind of lost its spark. The brand that used to stand for comfort, style, and American luxury, it was getting left behind while others zoomed ahead. But then, something interesting happened. Buick came out swinging with a car that made people stop and take notice again. That car? The Buick Park Avenue Ultra.
An important new car that signals Buick is back on track.
This sedan marked a turning point, not just for Buick, but for how American automakers were trying to win back respect during some tough times. So, what made it so special? To really understand, we've got to rewind back to the late 80s. Buick was saying goodbye to the old Electra series, a name some of us probably remember from back in the day. Still, the company wasn't ready to fade into the background. They were betting big on a new direction, one that kept their roots but adapted to a changing world. And that's exactly when the Park Avenue name stepped up.
The all-new Buick Park Avenue Ultra and Park Avenue.
Now, don't let that badge fool you. This wasn't just a quick name swap. The whole car got a serious makeover, sleek lines, and a much more modern profile. A real head-turner for its time. Compared to the old Electra, it was like Buick had leaped a full generation ahead overnight. Reviewers loved it. Owners, even more so. But here's what's interesting. While Buick took a few design cues from European luxury cars like the Jaguar XJ, they didn't lose that good old American character. The curves, the stance, it had presence. Even sitting still, it looked like it was gliding down the highway. And it wasn't just about looks either. This new Park Avenue was big. Bigger than the car it replaced. 8 inches longer, 2 inches wider. That meant more room inside, more comfort, and a return to that feeling of space that older Buicks were known for. Now, the overall look of the Park Avenue didn't change all that much during this generation, at least not at first glance. But if you knew what to look for, the Ultra trim had a few classy touches that set it apart. A small Ultra badge on the side, a set of slightly larger wheels, nothing flashy, but just enough to let you know that this wasn't your average Park Avenue. But the real story, that was under the hood. Pop it open, and you'd find a supercharged version of GM's 3.8-liter V6. A workhorse of an engine, no doubt, but this one had some extra muscle. We're talking 205 horsepower, which, for a luxury cruiser back in the early 90s, it was no joke. But what really made it stand out was the way it delivered that power. No turbo lag, no waiting around for the boost to kick in. Just smooth, immediate acceleration when you needed it. 0 to 60 in about 8.4 seconds. Not far off from that much-hyped Lexus LS400, which was the new gold standard at the time. Buick had built something that could keep up with the best. And here's the important thing. Even with that power and size, it didn't guzzle fuel like you might expect. For a big, comfy American sedan, the Park Avenue Ultra was surprisingly efficient. Thanks to its 18-gallon tank, you could expect 430 miles on a full tank. Not bad for a car that felt like a living room on wheels. But of course, we must not forget about the one thing that everyone cares about in a luxury sedan. The interior. Let's just say the Park Avenue Ultra epitomized American luxury. It had an emphasis on space, comfort, and convenience. And unlike its predecessor, which featured an outdated look, this sedan introduced a modern, flowing dashboard design that blended smoothly into the doors. If you wanted excellent support on long journeys, this sedan could give you just that. The seats were upholstered in plush leather and described as overstuffed, roomy, and comfortable. Now, the previous generation had these gimmicky 20-way power seats. The Park Avenue, though, had a more conventional but equally effective 6-way power system. Then you had the climate control, which featured dual temperature zones. Interior storage was also generous, and rear seat passengers were treated to limousine-like amenities, including vanity mirrors and headrests. All right, so it looked good, had a supercharged engine, and a decent fuel economy. But how did it actually drive? Well, the Park Avenue Ultra stayed true to its roots. It didn't try to pretend it was a European sports sedan. Nope, this was still a good old-fashioned American cruiser, smooth, comfortable, but still planted enough to give you confidence behind the wheel. And Buick wasn't skimping on safety either. Anti-lock brakes came standard across the whole Park Avenue lineup, which was a big deal back then. Testing showed the Ultra could stop from 60 miles per hour in just over 120 feet. Not bad at all for a big, cushy luxury sedan. But one of the most impressive parts, how quiet it was. Inside the cabin, noise levels were down to just 63 to 67 decibels while cruising on the highway. That's pretty whisper quiet. And it gave you this peaceful, almost limo-like feeling on long drives. Add that to the smooth, instant power from the Supercharged V6, and you've got yourself a seriously refined ride. Now you're probably thinking, all this must have cost a fortune, right? Not quite. Back in the mid-90s, the Park Avenue Ultra came in at around $30,000. And when you compare that to something like the Lexus LS400, which ran closer to $35,000, the Buick started to look like a bit of a steal. Same luxury vibes, American price tag. And it wasn't just buyers who noticed. The critics loved it too. Motor Week even named it their best luxury car in their Driver's Choice Awards. Why? Because it delivered genuine luxury, solid performance, and great value all in one package.
Current sales in the plus column. The addition of the supercharger to the Park Avenue Ultra is a significant enhancement, one that fits well with Buick's quest for robust luxury. A big American car design with world-class refinement. Granted, being a big American car means that it isn't likely to steal the customers of Mercedes-Benz in large numbers. But it's nice to know that American car owners can once again hold their heads up high in any automotive company.